Have you ever encountered a situation where perhaps you and your partner were just play teasing and suddenly your partner just erupted and got so angry and walked away? Or perhaps you take just a little bit longer than usual to reply your partner's message and your partner goes crazy and goes all drama and be like, hey, are you gonna break up with me, and things like that. Now today, I'm gonna talk about how quarrels escalate. This is something that happens in the subconscious that many people are not aware of, and I just want people to be more aware of what is really happening, because the first step of changing is really self-awareness. All of us actually walked around with like invisible buttons on us, or you can call it like bombs, like if somebody step on the area where there is a bomb hidden, it's gonna just chipa boom on them, and this innocent person is just gonna be blasted into pieces without knowing what actually happened. And the word they use for this is trigger. So what a trigger is it is actually a pre-existing condition. Sounds very insurance-ish, but basically it already exists inside of you. It's like, just imagine this. Just a while back I had a really bad injury over here when I rollerbladed downhill, and imagine right now, like, it's perfectly healed, right? I can run my finger across my skin with no reaction at all because like it doesn't hurt. But imagine if you run your finger past my injury when I first injure myself. I am going to be like, ouch, and like I want to punch your face if you dare to do something like that. That's because an injury is there, a wound is there, it is not healed. So triggers are like little buttons on us where there is a wound there, and when somebody touch it, it's just a natural response that we will react. We're not going to be like, thanks for touching my wound, I love you so much. It's going to be like,
I hate you, why did you do that to me?
Right? Just sometimes we come across situation where suddenly the quarrel escalate into something so big where you go into like a cold war and nobody talks to nobody, when really the situation does not justify the emotional reaction that comes with it. And when that happens, usually you have touch on each other's buttons, like you both trigger one another. To give you some examples, perhaps this little girl, when she was young, her parents were very busy, and the parents would make promises to her to kind of like console her because they couldn't be there for her and they felt bad. So to console her, they'll promise her that, I'm going to buy you things when I come back, and they come back without the gift. And this little girl is gonna feel disappointed, and she's gonna form beliefs that, hey, like, people can't be trusted. And as she grew up, she meet a potential partner and she just has issue trusting him. Or maybe, he has always been a man of his word where he always deliver whatever he promises, and just one time he forget to do something and she just gets so hurt and so angry, and the button got pressed, and her memory gets triggered of when she was a young child and parents always break her promises. And her reaction was more a 7-year-old girl, when if that were to happen when she was 7, it was a 7-year-old girl's reaction to her past, which she projected on her partner. Or perhaps this child grew up with absent parents, right, and was never available for her. So when she grows up, and whenever her partner's like somehow goes MIA and is busy, she will feel very abandoned. She will feel like, hey, partner doesn't love her and is unavailable for her, and she'll get triggered on her own abandonment and rejection issues. A lot of times when we encounter a threat, when we face a threat, the common reaction of mankind is, if you've heard this thing called the fight or the flight, and then there is the freeze and the fawn, right? The fight is when you get triggered and you want to fight back, you want to confront the person aggressively. It could be a verbal war or a physical war even, and you start to like, maybe even a vocal war where you start to go louder and louder and louder. You fight each other very head on strongly. Then there is the flight where you just avoid the issue altogether, you just walked away. It could be the freeze. Freeze is where you just sit there and you just zone out and you're not thinking and you're just like blank, right? And then there's the fawn, FAWN, where you try very hard to appease the person and basically just comply with that person. What we do want to realize that all these little buttons, right, all these little bombs on us are actually already in us. It's like if you run up your finger past my wound, it is a wound that is already on me. It is not the partner that caused the wound. I have the wound, and you happen to be the person that ran your finger past my wound. So it is things that you carry, the baggages that you have carried into your relationship. And this relationship could mean not just your partner, it could be your parents, your friends, your colleagues and things like that. It applies to all kinds of relationship where we can just be triggered. We might even be triggered by an animal, I don't know. And because a lot of people are not aware about their own triggers, as when they get into a quarrel and they get triggered, they blame the partner that you make me feel this way, that you ignored me. When actually, if you are aware of your trigger and you take ownership of the trigger, you know that, hey, when you did that, I projected my father wound on you, I projected my mother wound on you, I projected my abandonment wound on you. All of us carry our wounds, and it's so important for us to be aware. And really, when we are aware of the wound that we carry, we are able to deal with it, we are able to gain understanding and be able to communicate that to our partner. I remember just a while ago, I had a kind of conversation with somebody I really respected. And after that conversation, it completely broke me to the extent where I would cry in the middle of the night for days. And for almost a month, I was just broken. I felt like I couldn't really function. And deep in my mind, I knew that it was an overreaction to just a normal conversation with somebody I respected. And I knew that certain wounds in me were being activated that is causing me to just break down. And the thing is, when things happen for us in the past and we don't process it, they are just there, unprocessed, that little things can just trigger us. I myself know that there are things that I have not processed in my past that this conversation has brought up, and I projected that same pain that I've experienced with other people that I've respected that wounded me onto this person. And that awareness helps me to be able to separate my wound and my emotions from this person, for me to take responsibility, ownership, and to deal with this baggage that I'm carrying. And a lot of times we see the person who triggered us as the enemy, when really this person is just somebody who helped us to understand more about ourselves. And if we're able to embrace that journey, we're able to allow this pain to surface so that we can heal, so that we can deal with it. So what do we do in a quarrel and we start to feel like, okay, I'm getting triggered, I have certain wound? Is actually even better still, before you go into a quarrel, take some time to reflect. What are your triggers? It could be a father wound, it could be a mother wound, or even wound that comes with money, right? Like you grew up having not enough, so you get very insecure when your partner is unstable in his finances. So number one, what to do? Self-awareness. Think back of the time when the situation really doesn't justify that kind of reaction. And it's just like how if I have an abandonment wound and somebody does not have, we could be in the same situation and like really deal with it very differently. For somebody, like, nah, for example, the texting thing, somebody like, oh, he's just busy, it's fine. They don't have that wound, so they're very secure in that area. Whereas a person with an abandonment wound is more insecure and needs more validation. I understand what your triggers are, and in the midst of that quarrel, it is better for us to take a step back and just, hey, I think I need some time to process what's happening on the inside of me. We feel emotions first before we gain understanding on why we feel the way we feel. And when somebody steps on a bomb, there's a lot of dust, right? You need to allow the dust to settle before you can see clearly and objectively. It's the same as, acknowledging and validating your emotions first before we can move into the logic side to really analyze what is right and what is just overreacting. So if need be, you can take a few days to just cool down, because in a quarrel you don't want to say things that you don't mean, because in the mess of emotions, you can feel certain way and you can feel so right about how you feel. But when the emotions have settled down and you logically realize that, hey, if I were to say those things, I would regret it when I gain my sanity back, because a lot of times it might not even be true, it might just be out of spite. The whole fight a flight response, you fight and you just aggressively want to just put the person down to let them know how much they've hurt you, and it could just be like a defense mechanism. So remember that certain things you say cannot be taken back. The hurt has been done. We don't want to come to that place of trying to undo the hurts we have done, which is going to take time. Trust takes time to build, but it just takes one word for you to break it, and it's not worth it. Don't win the battle and lose the war, and don't win an argument and lose the person. It's not worth it. Now, secondly is with awareness, you are able to have self-revelation where you reveal and unveil that side of you to somebody. We think our partner can second guess us. Come on, like we don't even know ourselves. How can somebody outside of us know us, right? And as you know your own triggers, as you explain to that partner, hey, this is what happened, this is how I feel, they might not necessarily agree with your reaction, but they might be able to understand what led to that kind of reaction. Just a while back, I had this conversation with somebody from YouTube, and he asked me a question. He said if he put a lasagna into an oven and he placed an element on top of it, now, is this one lasagna or is that two? My answer was this. I said, it is one and it is two, depending on how you see it. From a big picture point of view, it is one, but if you zoom in and see, hey, you're gonna see that it is actually two. So both are correct. And to me, what is most important is not just the answer. We can disagree on the answer, but I want to understand how did you come to the answer. I want to understand your thought process of how you get there. So I guess that's where agreeing to disagree come in. I might not agree with your action, but I can see why you are doing that. And if I were in your position in the exact shoe, I might do the exact same thing. So who am I to judge? With understanding brings compassion and grace. So I hope that this video helps you and your partner to think about what kind of triggers you have and how has these little buttons that we carry played a role in your quarrels in the past. And many times the quarrel is really not about that issue. For example, let's talk about toilet seat, right? Like the ladies always want the men to put the toilet seat down after they've used it, and they can quarrel about the toilet seat, like, put it down, put it up, put it down. Like to the man, you might just be like, it's just a bloody toilet seat, but to the woman, it's what it means to her. It could be like, hey, when you don't put the toilet seat down, I feel like you don't think about me, you don't care about me, you don't respect me. It might not make sense to the man, but it's the message that this brings across. So when you're in a quarrel, dig deeper. It's not about just this issue. You need to ask your partner, hey, what did this make you feel? And part of the self-revelation when you speak to your partner after you've processed your own pain and things like that, it's important for you to say that, hey, when you did this, it makes me feel. And the words that we say can also trigger our partners in different ways. So if we say, you did this, very naturally your partner is gonna be like, boom, and the defense mechanism come up and it's gonna trigger each other, and the volcano erupt. So this is some things for you to consider and actually have a conversation with your partner about. So that's all I want to share. Bye!